All right, first and foremost, we have some really important business to attend to. Look at this ball I have. Look how fun this is. If I squish it, so they gave these out to us at work, which I'm still here. It is 6 o'clock on Thursday evening, and I'm still fucking here. So forgive the very late recap. This is gonna probably keep happening. I'll probably get a guest next week because it's just been all so crazy. So they got us like stress balls, hilarious. I was like, whatever. Like I don't ever use stress balls. I don't like tend to fidget too much. If I do, I'm like drumming lightly on my leg or my arm or whatever. But like this thing, it's nice and squishy, and it's full of balls, much like Jason's mouth is very full of balls. This is the whole recap, by the way. I'm just going to do this for a while. Anyway, let's get into the power rankings. At number 10 is fucking your commissioner, down 4 spots from last week. My entire team did not score a touchdown last week, and now I have Mahomes and Chase and Pollard on a bye, and then Ricky Pearsall has been hurt since like week fucking 4 or whatever. I've scraped together some wins, weirdly winning 4 in a row over the last 5 weeks, but I think my luck is starting to run out, to say the least. Like, I had to make a trade to literally field a starting lineup this week since Chris Godwin is sad about his leg or whatever. Frankly, I totally called it last week. I predicted I'd score 84 points, Mahomes wouldn't throw any touchdowns, and that was correct. I'll feel better about my team after this horrible bye week, but frankly, by then it might be too late for me. At number 9, in the same spot as last week, is Scott. This team is looking fucking bleak right now. Ramondre's hurt, Scary Terry is hurt, AJ Brown is hurt, Alvin Kamara is hurt, Nick Chubb is hurt. Also, those names I just listed, imagine that being a team like 3 years ago. Scott wouldn't have lost a game, I don't think. Now, that's certainly not the case this year, as he's currently dead last in the rankings and second to last in scoring. If Scott doesn't get healthy or make some deals soon, he could be heading straight for another Sacco appearance. At number 8, up 2 spots from last week, is Grant. Now, I've said it most of this year. This is, at best, a very mediocre roster. It seems to me that Grant is just trying to avoid going first to worst this year rather than actually like being a competitive team. But frankly, he got a championship, so who gives a shit? You can take it down here. Want to know something weird that I noticed about Grant's team? Actually, everyone on his bench plays for a team with like a standard blue or red jersey, but his starting lineup has like none of those colors as their primary color, except for Jackson Dart, I guess. That fun fact, by the way, was more exciting than actually looking at Grant's team. Whatever. On to the next one. At number 7, down 1 spot from last week, is Kevin. Last week was really solid for Kevin. He got a much-needed win from the squad. The problem is that Caleb Williams scored nearly 1/3 of the team's points, and it's nerve-wracking, frankly, to rely on a player that scored fewer than 5 against the Saints a couple weeks ago. Jacoby Myers is, let's call it, an interesting lineup decision right after he got traded. But hey, what do I know? I didn't score a fucking touchdown last week. Kevin's got some great matchups this week. I just worry that too many of his players are on like bad teams to end the season over 500. At number 6, down 2 spots from last week, is Dan. Dan is averaging 118 points a game over the last 4 weeks, and that's really good. But now, Dan is without CeeDee Lamb and Xavier Worthy, plus Vidal and McConkey are on a team with, like, literally no offensive line. Garrett Wilson is banged up and on the quittingest team in the NFL. Plus, he has 2 of Grant's former players on his team now, and that's just gross. Though Dan's wide receivers overall are very good, the poor running back situation is, frankly, just really tough to win with. At number 5, up 2 spots from last week, is Tim. Now, initially when I was writing this, I had Tim actually higher than this because I thought Bucky Irving was coming back, but alas, he is not, so it seems. Tim's team is obviously deserving of respect, especially after spanking my team's soft little booty last week. Solid running backs, solid wide receivers, and Josh motherfucking Allen. That is a recipe for success. Tim has fought his way back into 3rd place in the rankings fucking somehow. But I say somehow, it's still not a team to be taken lightly, even in spite of his running back injuries. At number 4, wait, before we get to number 4, look at this thing again. Yeah. At number 4, up 1 spot from last week, is Patrick. Patrick has scored 100 or more points every week since week 3. even after losing Tucker Kraft and with Chase Brown on a bye, this is still like a rock solid team that frankly is currently 0.1 points out of the playoffs. And don't worry, Patrick, Tim and I will both lose this week and you'll be right back in it. Jackson Smith and Jigba is wide receiver 1, and he's just so fucking good, man. Josh Jacobs has 10 touchdowns in the 8 weeks he's played. Rachaad White gets yet another week without Bucky Irving, and who knows when Bucky will actually be back. This team is in a pretty solid spot, though it's not the sexiest team in the league, I suppose. At number 3 is Jason in the same spot as last week. Well, Daniel Jones officially turned back into a pumpkin. No surprise there. Higgins, Javonte, and Ferguson are all on a bye, and Booty is hurt. Boy, don't I know it. Even so, this team still looks very good, and frankly, it's shocking that Jason is 6th in the rankings with this roster. However, a good win from Jason this week and a couple losses from me, Tim, and Patrick. Jason could get as high as 3rd in the rankings in 1 week. He's just 1 game out. At number 2, same spot as last week, is Sam. Sam's got a thick, with 2 C's, starting lineup and several great contingency plans on his bench, and that keeps him as one of the top contenders for a ship this year. Even if Justin Herbert has a paper-thin offensive line, Matt Stafford can easily pick up the slack if need be. Plus, frankly, the rest of the team is just so strong overall that Sam can afford a miss or 2 here and there. Plainly put, this team is good. At number 1, same spot as last week, is Chris. The magic continues. I don't think this is the best roster overall in the league. I think Sam's might be. However, Chris got 115 yards out of Alec Pierce, 2 touchdowns from Mark Andrews, and almost 200 yards from Kamanangai last week. Derrick Henry didn't score. Lamar threw all of the Ravens' 4 touchdowns. Chris, listen, the man simply doesn't miss. Oh, speaking of missing, by the way, I just saw that Antonio Brown just got extradited from Dubai after trying to murder someone in Miami. That guy's brain has got to look like a tuna casserole at this point. What the fuck, man? Anyway, Chris has a legit shot at a championship again this year. And now let's talk about the upcoming matchups. Chris is favored by 18.5 against me. I'm not winning this game. Shit, there's a good chance I lose by 40. There's no chance like JT and CMC don't just absolutely pop the fuck off. Whatever. On to next week. Grant's favored by 4.5 over Patrick. I mean, Patrick's team is better. It's just not fully healthy. Patrick needs to take advantage of this easy matchup to stay in the playoff picture. Jason is favored by 11.5 against Scott. Jason has a chance to vault himself as high as 3rd in the rankings, and surely Jason won't choke against the 2nd lowest scoring team in the league, right? Kevin is favored by 7 over Dan. The putt-putt rivalry will be alive and strong this week, and both teams will feel the heat from the Sacco on their ass hair. This one should be good. Sam is favored by 16.5 against Tim. Where's my zoom button? That view just got fucking crazy. No, that made it worse. Why did that make it worse? Oh my God, the panic. Sam is favored by 16.5 against Tim. Look at this squishy thing. Let's see. What the hell was I reading? I'm so distracted right now. Listen, last week was a hell of a performance from Tim, obviously. I just don't think it repeats this week. Frankly, it's just a shame that Tim doesn't have Omarion Hampton or Cam Skeetboob or Bucky Irving. This would be a really exciting matchup to watch if he did. But unfortunately, he does not. I have to move the phone because I can't fucking scroll down. It's propped up against the screen right here, and so I can't see the very bottom of it. So I'm just going to hold this like an idiot. I'm going to hold it like a dad. You guys are just going to like look at like I'm an old person. Like, oh, is that my grandson? Where's the thing? Sorry. Anyway, lastly, just remember that the trade deadline is prior to the week 12 kickoff. And that'll do it for this week's recap. Good luck to everyone except Chris, and obviously go fuck yourselves.